These next couple topics I'm going to discuss with Bird's presence are really for more advanced comics, but I want to cover them in these couple of videos on the intro package because I think understanding certain things as a brand new comic might not apply to you right now, but if you think about them and then they're in the back of your mind, these are things I think can help you, steer the ship and help you understand decisions you make now in the context of how you'll make those decisions later. So I'm giving you a sneak peek into a couple areas. Ethics and politics. I talk about this when we talked about the open mic and hitting the stage, but comics run stand-up comedy, and there is a community. There are communities in each city, in each neighborhood, surrounding each club, West Coast, East Coast, the American comedy community. Then you have, the British comedy community. Each country has their own. Stand-up is really worldwide now because of the internet, and there's communities. How you interact with that community is super important. What we talked about earlier, being honest with other artists and with bookers about where you're at, what your goals are, is very important. Being yourself on stage and off, unless you're, of course, playing other characters or doing other impressions, I think is a good thing. And when I say politics, the best word I can use is cliques. So when you'll go into certain circles of stand-up comedy, at a club or a certain venue, there may be certain groups that develop around different comics or different styles of comedy that may try and make themselves exclusive, and there are terms to being in those groups. I advise new comedians to stay out of cliques as much as possible. Because you want to keep yourself accessible to everybody. You want to have the broadest experience you can, especially when you're new. Why burn bridges you don't need to burn just by doing high school politic-y things? That being said, collaborating with other artists and comedians can be very fruitful, whether it be something as simple as carpooling to the open mic because you guys want to save gas, or sitting down and being that audience for each other. Another comedian who's your friend can certainly be as unbiased as your wife or your friends or your sister or whatever. Just a comedian you don't know in an open mic situation will probably be biased because they either A, want you to do bad so they feel better about yourself, B, just don't care, or whatever. So I'm not saying being friends with comics is bad. I'm just saying being friends with people in a way where it excludes you from other people is not advisable. Do you have anything to say about that, Berg? Because I know you kind of hang around. You see that a lot.
Yeah, I think that probably one of the best things you can do is just be respectful wherever you're performing. Respect everybody else and test if you've got some feedback for somebody. Test to see if that comedian is a receptive comedian, because there are some comedians that they're just not. They're not there for your feedback, and they'll let you know sometimes.
When interacting with other comics at a club that you may or may not know, a good cardinal rule is not to give anybody your opinion on their material unless they ask for it. If they ask, "Hey, what did you think about that joke?" then by all means, give them your opinion or input on that joke. If they don't ask you what they thought about their joke, maybe keep your opinion to yourself. Because chances are, if you're a newer comic and they're more experienced, they've already thought about what you said. As we talked about earlier, obviously a comedy club and most venues where you'll be doing stand-up comedy are social environments. Alcohol and other substances may or may not be involved. There will be sexual energy, as most people are between the ages of 21 and 35 that are doing this or in their sexual primes. It exists. We know it exists. It's fine. However, again, back to the professional environment, the same concepts you would have if you worked in a corporate office building or a Jack in the Box or anywhere that has any concept of sexual boundaries in the workplace. Apply those to the comedy space. I understand that we all make jokes and we're a little bit more loose and there's a party vibe, but don't start putting your hands on people. Don't start saying things sexually aggressive to anybody. If you could make that type of joke to somebody of the opposite sex, you'd know because you guys are friends outside of that space. If that's not the case, it's not a good idea. This is not me patronizing you or telling you what to do. This is just you giving you my opinion. Beyond that, on a kosher level, sometimes comedians date. Do I think it's a good idea? Not really. Now, two comedians can meet at a show, they can date, they can fall in love, they can eventually get married, they can do a duet act, they'll have children, they'll get rich, move into a sweet Beverly Hills mansion, vacation in the islands. It could happen. Two comedians could get romantically involved. They could date for a while, maybe have some sweaty sex, maybe both get an STD check. Boom, nobody caught anything. Hey, we're cool. Let's move on with our lives. Let's both be professional because we're both mature adults. That could also happen. What's probably going to happen is two comedians get romantically involved. One of them gets salty about something, or both. They break up, either one of them hating the other one, or both of them hating each other, and now either one of them can't go anywhere the other one is, vice versa, or both, and you've burnt a ton of bridges that you have no reason to burn when you could have just dated someone attending the show rather than performing on it. So understand what decisions you're making, and please make them the best you can. I'm very excited to continue working with you guys on this online comedy experience. We're going to have webinars. We are going to have more videos releases with guest comics talking about specialized things, bookers talking about specialized things, you being able to send in questions as a intro to comedy class member. It's going to be a very exciting trip. I'm excited to take it with you. Birdman, you got anything to say?
This is Zach Miller. Take his class.